How many times have you had the chance to say, "I'm sorry," but stayed silent? Not because you didn't care, but because deep down, you believed that apologizing meant giving in. Maybe you thought, if I apologize, they'll think I'm weak. Or worse, they might use it against me. But what if I told you that silent pride ruins more relationships than actual mistakes ever will? It's a poison disguised as armor. Armor that feels like protection, but quietly builds isolation. This is the story of Renata, a young leader who believed vulnerability had no place in leadership, until the day her silence cost her something no paycheck could ever replace: genuine trust. Take a breath and step into her world. You might see a piece of yourself.
Renata was 26 and held a position many dreamed of: project manager at a growing company filled with creative, ambitious young professionals. She was respected for her efficiency, her sharp decision-making, and her ability to get results. But there was something she hadn't yet learned, something no university course or leadership training teaches: the difference between authority and arrogance. She believed leadership meant always having the final word, that admitting mistakes showed weakness. Outwardly, she appeared strong, impeccable, untouchable. But deep inside, there was a constant fear of losing control, of seeming uncertain, of being exposed as someone who didn't always have the answers. Slowly, she built an invisible wall around herself. Her decisions were final. Any challenge was seen as threat. And when someone on the team made a mistake, the consequences were immediate. Her own mistakes, however, were never addressed. She called it maintaining order. But in reality, she was suffocating the very atmosphere she was supposed to nurture. And the most dangerous part? She didn't even realize it. It all started on a regular Monday. Renata sent out an email that caused confusion and delayed an important project. The mistake was hers, but the fallout landed on a junior analyst, a committed, punctual team member who had recently been showing signs of exhaustion. Renata recognized the mistake almost immediately. She even reread the email and knew she'd miscommunicated. But instead of owning up to it, she stayed silent. The team noticed, the analyst especially. There was a heavy stillness in the office, as if everyone was waiting for her to say something, anything, to acknowledge the situation. But she didn't. Instead, she carried on as if nothing had happened. To her, admitting fault felt like a risk she couldn't take. The analyst withdrew. She spoke less, contributed less. The spark in her eyes dimmed. Days later, she handed in her resignation. Renata was surprised. She couldn't understand why someone would walk away from such a promising role over something so small. What she failed to see was that it wasn't the mistake that drove the analyst away. It was the lack of accountability. Her silence said more than any apology ever could. And unknowingly, Renata was sending a message to the entire team. In this place, mistakes are punished, but never admitted. It was the beginning of a quiet collapse. In the weeks that followed, the cracks deepened. Even the most experienced team members began withdrawing. Ideas dried up, creativity stalled. People showed up, did the bare minimum, and left. Fear of making mistakes grew, but worse, fear of never being forgiven became the norm. Renata kept achieving results, but no longer inspired anyone. The office felt cold, mechanical, lifeless. Then came the second resignation, a brilliant programmer known for his humor and team spirit. Renata, once again, was surprised. She rationalized it as someone who couldn't handle pressure, but something was shifting inside her. When a third team member left without even requesting a final meeting, it hit differently. Not as anger, not even disappointment, but as a discomfort she couldn't ignore. She started reflecting. The conversations she never had, the apologies she never made, the harsh words she never softened. She who had prided herself on strength began to see that her greatest weakness might be exactly what she thought was her strength, her refusal to show vulnerability. For the first time, her pride didn't feel like protection, it felt like a prison. At a company gathering, Renata ran into a former manager who had once mentored her. He quickly sensed something was off. Beneath her usual calm, he noticed an invisible fatigue, not of the body, but of the soul. In a quiet corner of the event, they spoke. Renata opened up, not dramatically, but honestly. She shared how her team had changed, how people were leaving, how she felt disconnected, even though the numbers still looked good. The mentor listened. Then, gently, he shared his own past, how he too once believed that authority meant never backing down, that apologizing made you lose respect, until life proved him wrong. He had learned that no achievement is worth the cost of trust, and that while ego shouts to win, humility whispers to grow. Renata said nothing in response, but in her mind, a single question echoed for days afterward. Do you want to be right, or do what's right? Something shifted in her. She began seeing her team differently, not just as roles or functions, but as people, carrying silent frustrations, untold disappointments, and the weight of a leader who had never truly seen them. She noticed the hesitation in their voices, the effort behind their continued work, the longing for acknowledgement. And for the first time, she didn't just feel responsible for the results. She felt responsible for the people. Renata gathered the team for a meeting. This time, there were no slides, no charts, no polished speeches, just honesty. She admitted her mistakes. She acknowledged the environment she had created. She expressed genuine regret and gratitude. No excuses, no defenses, just a human choosing to reconnect. The room was silent, but it wasn't cold. It was a silence of processing, of surprise, and gradually, of relief. She didn't become a perfect leader overnight, but from that moment forward, something important began to grow. Respect rooted not in fear, but in authenticity. Renata learned that apologizing didn't make her smaller. It made her someone others could trust. She discovered that real strength isn't about appearing flawless, but having the courage to repair what pride has broken. Because pride screams to win, but humility listens to heal. And between winning a fight and saving a relationship, there is a choice that changes everything. If there's someone in your life still waiting for your apology, even if they never said it, maybe today is the day. Even if you think you're right, even if it feels unfair, because in the end, it's not about being right. It's about doing what's right.
Now, 3 practical steps to overcome pride and apologize with courage. Number 1, focus on impact, not just intention. You might not have meant to hurt someone, but if they felt hurt, that matters. Number 2, pause before acting. Take a moment, write down what you feel. Ask yourself, do I want to win or do I want peace? And number 3, be honest, not defensive. A sincere apology doesn't explain away the mistake. It simply acknowledges it. If this story touched you, share in the comments. What was the most important apology you ever gave or never did? Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that don't just inspire, they transform.